Lily Turner, and as you can see, I'm driving home. You know, sometimes you just have to do things when you have time to do them, especially when you're working all the time and you're busy. But I just wanted to come on here and give y'all a little bit of insight. God has laid it on my heart, and I'm going to put it on my channel. And so, if you don't know me personally, I am a Christian. I believe that Jesus Christ came to this earth to save me. He died for me, and He will come again for me. So, that's my belief. As I've told y'all before, I am a youth pastor, and usually my kids are from 7th grade. I have had some college students in there. I've also, at one time or another, I've taught the younger class, kindergarten up. So I've been with the kids, you know, nearly my whole adult life. But we won't get into all of that right now. That's another story. But just to give you some background, okay? I believe that I was called to be a youth pastor. I wasn't indicted by the church. The church didn't come to me and say, you know, we need somebody. It was laid on my heart that I needed to be a youth pastor. And one of the reasons why I feel like that I was called to that position is because, y'all, I've been in many situations where nobody should ever be, okay? And I'm not going to go into detail about the whole past thing. I am just going to kind of start a little bit. I have been molested. I have been beaten. I have been mentally abused. All of that, okay? All before I was 25. So from the time, you know, up until 25. My first marriage, I did not have the best marriage, and it was very rough. It was just very rough, okay? I was saved when I was 13 years old, and I've always had the attitude of, you know, I don't deal with things. I get over it. I don't hold grudges, and I don't hold, you know, I don't hold on to things for a long time. So, you know, things happen, and things uncontrollably happen, but you have the choice. You can either dwell on the past, or you can move forward. That's just always been my attitude, okay? So after I got married, I was working all the time, and I had my boys, and, you know, it didn't seem like church was important to me. And God used my kids, and at the time, I think my oldest was in maybe 1st grade or even kindergarten, and my youngest was a couple of years younger than him. He was in preschool. And I'm sorry, that sun is beating in right in the mirror. Let me see if I can change it over. I can't do anything about it, y'all. That's what happens when you're driving. So, anyway, my son kept saying, Mama, if you just take me to church, you don't even have to stay. You don't even have to stay. My teacher says you can just drop me off and then come pick me up. Well, God was using him to get me back into church, okay? And we went back and forth like that. And I'm telling y'all this because I believe with everything I have that he is real, okay? And you have probably had some of these same conversations. And I was like, I don't know anybody at the church. I don't want to go to church. I don't know anybody. So anyway, he just kept on and kept on. He wanted to go to church so bad. Well, I was like, okay, God, if somebody calls us for vacation Bible school, because it was during the summer and everybody's going to vacation Bible school, then we'll go, right? I was making stipulations. And, you know what? The very next day, somebody called and invited me to vacation Bible school. Somebody I used to work with, not somebody I was working with at the time. Somebody I used to work with called and said, hey, we're having vacation Bible school. Won't you bring the boys? Well, I was not the type of mother to just leave my boys with anybody, especially if I'd never met them. So I stayed. And I was like, okay, God, we're here. So if somebody invites us to come back Sunday, then, we'll come back Sunday. Do you know what? Somebody invited us back on Sunday. So therefore, that's how we got back in church. That's how I got back in church. God called me home, y'all. He did. And so, anyway, I was working on Wednesdays. Started going on Sundays and Sunday nights, but I was working on Wednesdays. Guess what? God, if you clear my schedule on Wednesdays, I'll start going to church on Wednesdays. I'll start worshiping you on Wednesdays. Schedule cleared, done. Okay. It was kind of like, whatever you say, I need you home, so therefore I am clearing the way for you. So anyway, that all happened, and some different things happened. I ended up getting a divorce, and y'all, I hated the fact of having to be divorced. I thought God was going to be so mad at me, but he wasn't, y'all. He's probably upset with me, some of the choices that I made, but y'all, he still loved me, and he still insisted that he was going to use me. Okay, so after my divorce, I felt like God was never going to use me again. Y'all ever felt like that? That you've done something so terrible that he's never going to use you? You're not good enough to be called God's child? Jesus doesn't love you anymore because of your choices that you've made? So that's where I was at, y'all. That was a really hard time for me. My church that I was in was awesome. They understood the circumstances, and they didn't hold it against me that I had been, I was going through this divorce. They didn't shame me. They just loved on me. Okay? And I know there's a lot of churches out there. There's a lot of people out there that would have done different. But you can't hold that against every Christian. Okay? You just can't. So I started trying to rebuild my life. I stayed in church, but I was kind of angry. I was kind of angry at God. And that hurts my feelings to say that, because the one person that has loved me no matter what, I was angry with. But I had everything in my being. I felt like that he could have fixed my marriage. He could have. With just a snap, he could have fixed everything. And I didn't understand why he didn't, because, I was trying to be faithful, and I was trying to do everything that I was supposed to be doing, right? It just didn't happen. So, as I'm trying to rebuild my life, my boys are older now. They're very much older, in middle school now. So we've went from elementary school to middle school, high school, going into the high school, and some other rough patches, y'all. Just because you're in church doesn't mean that you're gonna be okay and happy all the time. So as I'm trying to rebuild my life, I met somebody, and, name is Patrick, and I'm sure y'all are going to see him on my channel some. To get to know me, you have to get to know my family, right? So I started dating him. Now, I lived in South Alabama, and he lived in North Alabama, and couldn't nobody bring us together but God himself. I am from North Alabama, and my friend kept saying, why don't you talk to him? Why don't you at least talk to him? I think y'all would be good friends. And I'm like, I live 5 hours away. There is no way we could ever be together. Well, guess what, y'all? God can move mountains when you let him, okay? He can. So I also heard of a job in North Alabama that I had qualifications for, and this was in 2015, the exact same time that I started talking to Patrick. So I come up here I applied for that job, and I come up here for the interview. Now, I drove all the way from South Alabama to North Alabama, and for my interview for this job. That very same day that I had the interview, that's the first time I met my husband in person. Oh my gosh. So that's the very first time I met him, and it was like instant connection. So 1, I got the job. 2, me and my boys moved up here, and 3, I gained a whole nother family. Patrick and I started talking more, we started seeing each other more, and we decided that we wanted to make it work together. Okay? So, God was already working in our lives. He was working on him, he was working on me, and, we've come together because God brought us together. Well, then we get up here and we started our lives backwards. And y'all, sometimes when you're giving credit to God, I'm not going to say sometimes, all the time, when you're giving credit to God, the devil's going to take it away from you. It don't matter how good your life is. It doesn't matter how much you think you're on the right path. The devil is going to step in, because he is real, and he doesn't want you giving any kind of credit to God. He doesn't want you believing that Jesus died for you. He doesn't want any of that. Okay? So then Patrick and I start having trouble. And it's a spiritual battle, y'all. It's not a physical battle. It wasn't that we couldn't get along. It wasn't that we were fighting or, arguing or just had different beliefs. It wasn't none of that. It was the devil. And he took control, and we almost let him win. But he didn't win. We almost let him win, though. And that's a choice we have to make. There goes that sun again. So then we made it through that trouble. We ended up getting married, and y'all, we've been happily married ever since. Now, we do still have our arguments. Sometimes I have attitude. Imagine that. Sometimes he has attitude. Nobody's perfect. But we are perfect together, and we insist that we're working it out. Okay? So that was in 2015. We finally got married in 2017. And then we got married in January of 2017. In December of 2016, we found out that the reason we were having some trouble partly was because Patrick had colon cancer, and he didn't know it. And the stress of us aggravated it and brought it to life. So there again, God was taking care of us, y'all. There's just no other way around it, okay? we were able to get it taken care of. They'd done a colon resection. Everything was fine. No chemo. Everything was fine. Right? So we're rocking on, and we have the best first year, getting to know each other a little more, and he has kids, I have kids, so we brought them together. We're family now, and y'all, I had absolutely no clue what God was preparing me for. I had no clue. So we became the youth pastors at our church, and very involved in the youth back, I love being the youth pastor. I love being the youth pastor. God is using me, who is very imperfect, who has attitude, who feels like she could never be loved again. God is using me, okay? So that's going great. And then in 2018, my mama found out she had colon cancer. And y'all, I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold it together for this part, okay? My mama's my world, and she'd never been sick. The only time she'd ever been to the doctor is when she was having me and my sisters. So she was healthy, and in my mind she was bulletproof. And that sun's there again. So she starts having to do treatments and stuff, and it just keeps growing. They can't get rid of it. So we found out in September, she nearly died in September of 2018. Her colon collapsed completely. The tumor was so big, it collapsed her colon. They got all of that fixed, and then she started chemo. She had, we figured it up, it was like 40 something chemo treatments. 42, 47, something. She was taking treatments every 2 weeks, once a week, it just depending on back and forth. So we lost her in June of 2020. So from September of 2018 to June of 2020, we lost her. And y'all, I told y'all at the beginning of the video, I've always been able to bounce back. I've always been able to get through whatever patch I was going through, even though it seemed unbearable. But here it is, April of 2021, and I'm not past that. I'm not past that. And I've always been one to say, and I tell my kids this all the time, if you don't have a current testimony, are you really being tested? Are you really living for Christ? Well, this is my current testimony, y'all. So since my mom has passed away, and all of this COVID pandemic stuff, I work in a nursing home, so it has hit my nursing home really hard. This whole past year has just been extremely hard. From working all the time, to losing my mom, to a host of other things, okay? Life has happened. And I have never been one that I needed a counselor. In all of the things that I've ever been through, I've never been one I needed a counselor. I've never been one that I needed medicine for, because usually I've prayed my way out of it. I've still read my Bible, all of that. But y'all, I can't get past this right now. And so I've had to get outside help. Do I still believe God is completely in control? Absolutely. Jesus is taking care of me right this minute, because if not, y'all, I would never ever be able to be telling y'all this, okay? But now I've been on the depression side. My migraines have developed way worse. I'm still doing my Mary Kay business, and so that's a second job, and I work it just like it's a full-time job, so that's taking more time. I love doing that, and I love teaching my kids, and I had to step back. Because I felt like that I was working so much that I couldn't take care, and I couldn't be a youth pastor. The one thing that God has called me to do, I can't do because of my physical, my mental health, okay? So I've been working with the doctor. The doctor has finally got my migraines halfway situated, okay? I still miss my mama. Oh my gosh, I still miss my mama so bad, to the point that I can't breathe sometimes. But every time I get to that point, Jesus reminds me that he's carrying me right now. One of my favorite poems is The Footprints in the Sand. If you've not ever seen it or heard it, look it up, Footprints in the Sand, because right now there's only one set of footprints, and he is definitely having to carry me right now. And I tell y'all this, y'all, there is hope. It doesn't matter how much you think that there's not. There's times that I don't even think I can get out of bed. My head hurts so bad, or I'm crying profusely that I just can't be around people. And maybe you feel the same way. Maybe you've been in that situation. If you've been in that situation, comment. I'm going to put some of my favorite verses. I'm going to attach them to this video. Some of my favorite verses that I hold on to every single day. Some of my favorite songs that I have I have a chorus of a song attached to my computer. And so, therefore, I can remind myself every single day that Jesus is carrying me, y'all. He is still carrying me every single day, and he's still with me, and he is still using me, and he can still use you. He still loves you. It doesn't matter what you've done, where you've been. He will still use you if you'll let him. So I'm doing this to get, if it helps one person get out of bed today, then that's why I'm doing this. And that's why God has laid all of this on my heart. And I'm sure there's going to be more to come. The more I talk, the more you can, I'm an open book. I talk all the time. I just love talking. So I just wanted to put that out here. That's a little bit more about me. That's a little bit intimate for me. And it's hard to talk about. But there's people that's going through the exact same thing that you're going through. You are not out there by yourself. And even if you feel alone, my favorite thing is knowing that there is somebody up at all hours of the night. There is somebody who will put his arms around you and who will love you no matter what kind of parents you had, what kind of court system you've been through, no matter how many times you've been hurt, how many times you've been on rock bottom and you just feel like there's absolutely nowhere to go. Jesus is out there, y'all, and he is the only reason I am here today. He is the only reason, when everything else is failing, then he is still there taking care of me. Even though I'm not perfect, even though I have made mistakes, even though I'm going to continue to make mistakes, He still loves me. And He still loves you. So I'm going to stop the video here, and I'm going to come back in, and I'm going to let y'all have some of my favorite verses, favorite songs, and different things like that. Comment on here. Subscribe to my channel. Who knows what you're going to see. I love helping people to help them. Okay, so you could be seeing makeup things, which is one of my passions. You could be seeing some of my youth stuff. You could just see an impromptu. God laid it on my heart that somebody out there needed some hope today. I love y'all, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.